Hey y'all, it is April the 21st, 2018. Y'all just hit up with a comment on one of my other videos. I believe the video is, I blame you for everything. And it's a recent video that I put out there in which technically that's not what I mean as far as the content of the video. I just believe that as a person myself individually, that I'm responsible. You know what I'm saying? I created causes and which had bad effects in my life, and it affected me badly. All right, but at the end of the day, that's my responsibility. It's not anybody else's responsibility. And to go even further, when it comes to other people, I believe the same about them. Right? And a lot of people, they believe in like things such as luck or coincidence, and most of the people who probably watch my videos, they don't, more than likely. But there's people out there who do. They believe in that sort of stuff, luck and coincidence, and just random things happening. But the thing is, it doesn't really happen so much on Earth. There's no evidence for anything really happening randomly or happening without a cause, right? And so the cause is yourself. In a sense, you're the owner of the misery that you bring about in your own universe, and more likely. And you could deny that. A lot of people do. Or maybe just haven't seen evidence of it, and you're wondering about that. I mean, the thing is, depending on how you look at it, it's all up to interpretation. It's kind of easy. Like, if you were looking at my life, if I was looking at my life, I could definitely see the bad stuff happen, the effects. It's coming from certain causes. Coming from certain kind of causes. And the thing is, lots of these situations will be described in maybe a number of different books, but to include the Bible. Right? So when you read the Bible or any number of books out there, you can read them and have a better understanding as how, like, basically you could either see things as random or you could see that you have some sort of control in your life to a certain extent. Now, I know a lot of people, and myself included, it's like we begin to understand that we don't really have control of our lives. That's not the case. People like to think that they do for some sort of stability and security. Right? They like to think that they have control, but they don't and stuff. At the end of the day, even if you don't believe in God, you have to understand that stuff's out of your control a lot of the times, right? And so a lot of people rely on things like luck, and they'll play the lottery and this and that, right? I had a commenter on that video, and as y'all already know, I'm not making any more public replies as far as comments, just literally because it takes so much of my time. It's very time consuming, and I don't have enough time. And after a while, I get kind of agitated. All right, so I don't really reply to comments, and everybody's kind of getting to understand that. But at the same time, I'll have y'all know that whenever you get like a heart thing, when it sends you a heart from YouTube, and that was me, that means that I saw your comment, all right, and I understand it as much as I can understand it. I saw it. And so I might have a reply in my mind, but I'm not going to type it out because I just don't have time. And I appreciate y'all out there. Y'all are an integral part to this whole channel. With y'all, the channel would be way, way less dynamic. Thing is, I read all y'all's comments, and I do consider most of them, to include this one. And the comment was in that video that I was just referencing. The comment was, well, my parents kind of died young and stuff. What are you trying to say? Like, it's my fault? The thing is, the comment was such a good comment. It was such a good question. It's a priceless question. So it's like, instead of making a reply in my own comment, I figured, make a whole video about it. That's why I want to encourage for y'all out there. I really do appreciate what you're saying. And if you say something so significant, just so strikes to the heart of the matter, I'll go ahead and make a whole video about it. I think about it a lot. All right. So, I have thought about that sort of situation. And just to preface everything, I don't know anything at all. If you come to me for stuff to know, it's not going to work. I don't really know anything, but I do ponder a lot of things. To include the situation of, say, children, and I've known a number of children who lost their parents at a very young age. I actually know at least a handful of people who this has happened to, almost on a personal basis, right? So you might look at that situation and think, well, dang, how could a child bring that upon themselves? What the hell? What do you mean? You blame the child because their parents died and stuff? We're going to have to unpack this, whole matter because it's a very interesting question. One of the best questions I've received in a while, and it's very a dear commenter of mine. Right? So just to put my opinion out there from what I've seen, and the thing is, you already know, I need evidence. You need to show me evidence. Until I see the evidence, I'm just not going to believe anything. And I've only really, really started to realize this and embrace this as of recently. It's like, dude, I seriously need evidence. If you're not going to give me no evidence, you're going to get a blank stare like every single day. Because I just don't have what it takes to believe you. I don't have what it takes to believe until I see evidence, all right? If that's making any sense to y'all. So, all right. This is the evidence from which I've gathered a lot of anecdotal evidence kind of compiled in my head. But as far as little kids, y'all might already know out there that me personally, on a personal level, I think that children are special. I think human beings are special. All right, you know, you look at their DNA and all sort of other sequences in their blood. What you're gonna see is just a unique, one of a kind out of the whole world. We're talking about billions of people. One of a kind person from their blood. You can see it in them. And their blood is actually, I mean, it winds up getting into everything. It's just a code. All right, and everybody's pretty much grasped this since the days of the Matrix and stuff. It's a code, what you got in you. Jurassic Park, I mean, they're talking about the dinosaur DNA. It's a code that you got. You're so special. We got to think about how different we are on Earth. We're so very different from everybody. We're individuals, all right? But what's the thing that we share? There's only a few things that we actually do share in common with everybody because we're so different. One of the biggest main thing is that, you know what, you basically, unless you're a science fiction baby, you got made by a man and a lady. That's just period all day. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. You got made by a man and a lady, all right? And they did a certain thing. They got you made, all right? Thing is, once you really, really, really just embrace, dude, you're special. You're one of a kind. There's nobody like you. You start to see, man, your blood must be absolutely special too. Just so unique. Yeah, it is. Where did you get that from? From the man and the lady that we were talking about, all right? And they had special DNA, or still do, who knows? But some of them sometimes die. Parents will die at a young age for people. This happened to Nicholas Cruz, by the way. The thing is, they'll die, but you know these people were also very special, one of a kind on Earth. Nobody just like them. Totally unique. All right, two people. One was a man and a lady. This is what people have in common, irregardless across the board. Everybody does. Everybody, unless you're some sort of test tube baby, and I don't know how you got made. It was by a man and a lady. Those people are very important. All right, lots of times, those people will let the child down. All right, by just being a bad example. And I'm not the one to tell you what's a good example or not. I'm just saying that lots of times situations they let their children down, right? By being bad examples, these two people, in whatever way, all right? Maybe they're tripping, all right? But sometimes those very people, those two people who are extremely crucially important, sometimes they die very young age for the child. Right? And then child's left holding the bag, basically, just asking questions like, why do I deserve something like this? No, this doesn't happen to most people and stuff. How could I lose my parents? Stuff like this. As a child, you know, when you consider the concept that we were sharing about everybody being in charge of their universe, that actually, a situation like that makes it a little bit more complicated, right? And think about it because what could a child possibly do? We all know that children are closer to God than most, all right? That's just how they live. So how in the world could a child do something that would make this happen to them that's so not good, all right? I think it's crucial to remember just how special you are, whoever you are out there, that you're unique. You're one in a million billion, all right? There's no duplicating you. The same goes for your parents. Those people are very unique, all right? This is a generational handing over the baton, basically. That's what happened. Meaning that your ancestry, and this goes for anybody, and this is just my opinion from what I've seen, your ancestry will tell you the stories that you need to know, regardless, whoever you are. Maybe you have some problems out there. Like I said, maybe you lost your parents. And a lot of people do, and that's so terrible. But it was sometimes even more terrible is when your parents are just not to be trusted or whatever. Like maybe they fall off the deep end. That's not good either. I mean, you might as well have it the other way. That does happen a lot. That does happen a lot. People, like I said, they lose their parents pretty early, and they might be asking why. Well, what I would suggest is that you are on the correct path of questions. You should ask, well, why? How come? How can I be responsible about this? Right? The thing is, as a child, you got to admit, these people, they're just getting into the world. They are closer to God than most of us, children, right? It might not necessarily be their fault from what I've seen. And scripture and all sort of different other books talk about, a link between generations. The fact is that your parents are actually important. If you know who your parents are, if you know their struggles, if you know their strengths and weaknesses, and you can see them from like an outsider's perspective, like a child, you'll begin to understand that those people very much impact your own life and the way that you do things because it's in your blood. It's the code they gave down to you, right? You're very special in that way. You can hand down all sort of blessings through the blood. Everybody has strengths and talents that are handed down to them through their DNA. I mean, it really happens every time. When you consider a child to their parents, they're going to just be just like their parents in the way that, some children don't know their parents. And it's very hard to get to the bottom of things, of why they do things. If a child doesn't know one of their parents, or maybe both, they don't know them good enough, that child will think it has free will. It'll think while growing up that they know why they're doing everything. They don't have any clue because they don't know their parents. And if they knew their parents, they would know exactly why they do everything. And they wouldn't have to. They wouldn't have to. There'd be no mystery about it. And saying people are very much spiritually attached to their parents, more so than everybody else on the earth, for certain. A lot of people have problems and they deal with it in certain different various ways, and I can't tell you any ways bad at all, or whatever, however you want to deal with certain problems that you have in your life, right? A lot of us cannot even relate to the type of grief that you would have if, say, for example, both your parents died. We couldn't relate to it, right? That's shocking to hear about. And as a child, I'm not really trying to imply, well, the child did something and it made it happen. Perhaps the parents in their lifetime, maybe they did something and it caused something bad to happen and they both kind of got killed, or they both wound up dying at a very young age in their child's life. It's going to be real hard for the child to figure out what it is that his parents did or her parents did. But it would be completely impossible unless you knew who the parents were. If you had some sort of records, if you researched it, you know, it's an intergenerational thing in which, a person has a baby and they live a certain kind of way. And, people don't exactly do everything that they're told to by God. A lot of times they'll get distracted or they're trying to do things their own different kind of way, make it up, right? And any one of us are susceptible. I'm very susceptible to this. If I do stuff and I know that God does not want me to do it, and I do it anyway, and I try and coax him into doing something bad to me, something bad's going to happen to me. It's just the way that it goes, or at least in my mind, right? A lot of people think like that. I just want to repeat, I don't think it's the fault of the child. I really honestly have reason to suspect that maybe the parents did something. I don't know what. Maybe it wasn't even that bad, but they did something in a certain way with their lives. And eventually, it came to judgment. And it comes to judgment for each and every one of us. I might die in a car accident right now, all right? If I go to the store or something like that, it might happen to me because there's no safe place on earth. Just to finish off this video, because I'm running out of memory, I wanted to say this. For this person who left me a comment, I would only suggest, I'm not ever telling you what to do with your life, and I would only suggest also to people who have occurred this situation, like they have lost their parents at a very early age, what I would encourage those people to do, sincerely, And know that I've done basically this sort of thing in research. Is you do need to research. You need to find everything, anything and everything on your parents that you could possibly find. Try and get down to the real nitty gritty of the matter. Whatever you can find. If there's something they wrote or something they drew, it's documentation about them in like certain censuses. You need to find out every last detail that you could possibly find about them. If there's videos of them around, like from a camcorder, anything, everything, and find what it is. Try to find out who your parents really are. Because even myself, I've known my parents my whole life. There's still all sort of things that I just find out about, all right, as time goes on. You know, I'm still finding out all sort of different things about my parents, about my grandparents, and things like that. And basically, it just becomes a very big painting that you can see as to how far, like, you know, your parents in the details get off on a tangent a little bit, but you know your parents are like you and your grandparents are like them, and that's what's happening here. I would say get to know these people, because not only if you get to know your parents more better, will you be able to figure out your own strengths more better, but you'll also be able to figure out your weaknesses and maybe your downfalls and maybe how you do things that are just like these people. All right. Sort of a generational curse. And I've seen movies that are like this, but that have nothing to do with God. They'll be about like a witch getting some sort of curse. And the curse, it not only happens to that person, but maybe it happens to their children too. You know, that's basically what it is that I'm seeing. And I guess the whole reason for the exercise, if you will, is that children should be able to know who their parents are, and they should be able to see the fault in their parents and know that that's the fault in them and see it better for a better perspective and be able to change it. All right, just simply because they know the cause. Once you know the cause, you can relieve the effect of what it does to your life. You know, basically, I know it's a whole bunch of words and stuff. Uh, I appreciate all y'all who comment out there and know that I'll probably make a video if you make a really good one. So try to make a lot of different comments and I'll get to some of them. All right. And I'll holler at y'all. It's April the 21st, 2018. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.